Hello, it's Kalia Hall-Trali, real estate investor coach. Peace and blessings be upon you. Today, what I want to talk about is using your intuition to invest in real estate. Sorry about that. I had to start the live over again. I had a bunch of messages coming in, and for some reason, it threw out my video. Okay, so again, your intuition is basically your inner knowingness or your inner GPS. And it's important to be able to use that in real estate to be able to discern whether something is for you or not. Oftentimes I see in real estate when people get confused and stressed and all those things is because basically they're not in alignment with themselves, and so they just start going crazy. I know for myself, my intuition or trusting my intuition came into play a couple of times. Well, actually all the time, almost every day. But I have two stories for you. The first one is actually when I was getting my first real estate deal. I wanted to buy a house in Baltimore. I wanted to buy an apartment building in Baltimore. And this building was a 4-unit building. It was located near the train station in Baltimore, near Johns Hopkins. And at that time, it was a little bit further out from where all the action was as far as like the neighborhood being the best. But over time, it did change. So I was looking to buy a 4-unit building over here. Great building. And I took my mom with me to go look at it, and also her handyman or her contractor. So we went to go see this building. We're looking around. The building, it's an older building. Let's say they were built in early 1900s. So I knew it was an older building. I knew it wasn't in perfect condition. But when I took her with me and her contractor, they're looking around, and then they start talking about oil heat. Now, at the time, I didn't know much about oil heating because where I am, people don't use oil as often. And so they were like, oh, this is going to cost a lot to remove this oil tank in the basement. So they start saying all these negative things about having this oil heating. And in Baltimore, the oil heating was pretty common. So they started saying all these different things about the oil heating. And so basically, I got so afraid of this oil heating that I ended up canceling the deal. I backed out of the deal because of the construction costs. And till this day, I'm kind of resenting it or I did resent it up to a certain point, because later that neighborhood ended up changing over. So let's say I was going to buy the property for $199. I mean, now they're probably going over $500,000. So that is a deal that I missed out on when I listened to somebody else. I let their voice override mine, and I did not listen to my intuition. And then on the other hand, I have another deal I'll tell you about. It's actually a property that my partner and myself were looking to buy. It was a 2-unit building in a popular neighborhood in DC. We're looking at getting this building. This was actually supposed to be our first rehab. And at this time, we were looking at the numbers. We were looking at making it a 3-unit. I want to say a 3-unit building is what we first thought we were going to do. So we were crunching our numbers. We were looking at making it a 3-unit. It was actually 4 levels, but we were going to add an addition on the top level to try to make it into three apartments. And at that time, it was just basically a single family home with an in-law suite in the basement, just kind of like another unit in the basement. It was an old place. The place was terrible. It wasn't even really livable when we were crunching our numbers. And I remember we were looking for other people to kind of go in on the deal. And so everybody was telling us, oh yeah, I'll cut checks. This looks like a great deal. And so while we're running our numbers, and at that time I was a trainee, I had an appraisal trainee license, and I was crunching the numbers. And something just, my gut feeling was that, okay, this is not a great deal. Something's not good about this deal. And so myself, I decided to get out of the deal. I decided to back out of it. I said, okay, I'm not going to go in on this deal. And my partner, she still went in on that deal. And that deal ended up being a very stressful experience. And so that's just an example of when I actually listened to my own intuition, my own inner guidance at the time. And I knew that this deal was not for me. So I'm saying all this to say that it's very important to listen to your intuition, because sometimes in real estate investing, the numbers may actually work, the strategy may work, but then maybe there's something about this deal that's just not for you. And so you need to be able to discern what's for you and what's not for you. And again, because in real estate, of course, everybody's crunching their numbers. Everybody really doesn't even have the same criteria that they go by. Some people may, let's say they're buying a rehab and they're going to flip the property, but then maybe they do their own construction work. So they made those numbers work for themselves. Whereas for somebody else who would have to get outside contractors, that deal may not work for them. So you definitely want to know what your criteria is. How much risk are you willing to take in a deal? So basically, if you don't get your money back, if you lose your money, how much money are you willing to go without? And again, you don't want to, if you're living this money you need to live with, you don't want to invest money that you actually need from day to day. So you want to make sure that what you're investing, you can actually afford to lose if that happens. Because also, too, with real estate, it doesn't always mean that you'll get your money back instantly. So you may go in on a deal. Like one time, I actually had a property. Again, we were looking to partner with an owner. We partnered with the owner to get the property. We were looking to flip the property, and this was an excellent location. This was Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C. We were looking to get the property there. We did. We went in with the owner, and it was actually, the property was located next to a commercial building. The commercial building, when we purchased the property, we went in with the owner, that property was still standing. But as we finished our renovation, that building got knocked down. So that threw off our entire project, because what we thought was going to be about a 6-month project ended up being almost like a 2-year or 2 to 3 year project. Because once that property got knocked down, everybody who was coming in to buy the property that we had renovated was saying, okay, what are they going to do with the property next door? And so again, in DC, they're row properties, meaning they're somewhat attached. They weren't sure if that property was going to be attached to our property and then closing the windows to the building, to the rooms upstairs. And so what we actually ended up having to do was put skylights in 2 of the bedrooms. So now our 3-bedroom home didn't become a 1-bedroom home. So again, listening to your inner guidance, because even for myself, I've taught like a lot of different students, and everything is a strategy. So the strategy with real estate investing is not difficult, but it's just being able to navigate your journey with real estate investing. And so that's where your intuition is going to be key. And also listening to messages or your communication and alignment with Allah. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them below if you happen to come in and listen to the replay. And I hope to see you on the 11th for this workshop. I'm going to actually be going over how to get started investing in real estate for those who are unsure. So we'll go over how much money is required, you know, what's the best place to start, or what's the best strategy to start with. And we'll also get tuned into whether this is for you. And I'll also share with you my #1 real estate investing strategy. So going through how I actually got started and what strategy was best for me. And again, you want to be tuned in, because what's best for me may not be best for you. So you want to know what's going to be good for you. And then also I'm going to share with you my blueprint that I use to be responsible for over $60 million in sales, and also what helped me to build a 6-figure business. So again, any questions, you happen to tune in to see the replay, drop your questions below, and I'll be sure to come back in and to answer them for you. Okay, hi, I see Romana's on. Salams, how are you? So again, any questions, just go ahead and drop them below. Okay, assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. Bye-bye.